Hari Om, Hari Om. Namaste to all. Prostrating at the lotus feet of Shrotriya Brahmanishta Sadguru Swami Virajeshwara Saraswati and the entire Guru Parampara. Today's discourse on the Viveka Chudamani will continue. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Mahasaraswatyai Namaha, Sadashiva Samarambham, Shri Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Parampara, Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam, Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram, Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam, Sutrabhashyakrito Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah, Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam, Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmiham. Om Namo Bhagavate Virajeshwaraya Hari Om. Last time we had stopped at shloka number 530. From 531 today, the discourse will continue. As usual, to remember here, these are the most important shlokas, the verses, as rendered by the Acharya to his qualified disciple, summarizing all the points. Especially in these shlokas, Acharya is dealing with the nature of a Brahmajnani, how a Brahmajnani, how a realized Siddha Purusha, a Mahatman, lives in the world, how he behaves in the world, how he moves in the world, and what is that distinguishes him from all the set of the normal people, the normal human beings, the worldly people. So the last shloka, the key word was Ayamatma nitya siddha pramane sati bhasate. Ayamatma nitya siddha. That was a key word of the last shloka. This Atman is ever existing. It is nitya satya, nitya siddha. It is already there. Atma is already there. The Pratyagatma inside the body is ever existing. It itself is a proof. That was a point in the last shloka, very key words to remember. Ee Atma Vastu, ee Chaitanya Vastu, Sharirada Olagade irtakkantaha Chaitanya Vastu, Nitya Siddha Swarupanu. So this Atma Swarupa is eternally present all the time. Now the Acharya continues. Next. Devadattoham ityetad vijnanam nirapekshakam tadvad brahma vido api asya brahmaha iti vedanam brahmaham iti vedanam devadatto aham ityet tad vijnanam nirapekshakam tadvat brahma vidopyasya brahmaham miti vedanam. ಈ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಜ್ಞಾನಿಯ ಸ್ವರೂಪನ, ಜ್ಞಾನಿಯ ನಿತ್ಯ ಸಿದ್ಧದ ನಿತ್ಯ ಸತ್ಯತ್ವದ ಆ ಅನುಭವದ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಹಾಜ್ಞಾನಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೂಲವಾಗಿ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ನಿಖರವಾಗಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಈ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ. ಆಗಿನ ಕಾಲದ ಒಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಏನು, ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯ ಹೆಸರು ದೇವದತ್ತ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ, ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ದೇವದತ್ತ ಎಂದು ಕರೆಯಲ್ಪಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ನಾನು ದೇವದತ್ತ ಅಂತ ಆತನ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ತಾನೇ ತಾನಾಗಿ ನಿರಪೇಕ್ಷಿಕವಾಗಿ ಯಾವುದನ್ನೂ ಅಪೇಕ್ಷಿಸದೆ ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಜ್ಞಾನ, ಒಳಗಿನಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರೋ ಜ್ಞಾನ. ಏನು? ನಾನು ದೇವದತ್ತ. ದೇವದತ್ತ ಹೆಸರಿನ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ, ಆತನಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ನಾನು ದೇವದತ್ತ. ಈ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಈ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ನಿರಪೇಕ್ಷಿಕವಾಗಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು, ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ಅಪೇಕ್ಷಿಸದೆ ತಾನೇ ತಾನಾಗಿ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಈ ಒಳನೋಟ, ನಾನು ದೇವದತ್ತ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು, ಒಬ್ಬ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಗೆ, ಒಬ್ಬ ಮಹಾತ್ಮನಿಗೆ, ಒಬ್ಬ ಆತ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮನಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ನಾನು ಪರಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸ್ವರೂಪನಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ನಾನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವೇ ಆಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಎನ್ನುವ ಈ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ, ಈ ಅರಿವಿಕೆ, ಈ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಯಾವುದನ್ನೂ ಅಪೇಕ್ಷಿಸದೆ ತಾನೇ ತಾನಾಗಿ ಸಿದ್ಧಿಸುವುದು. ಜ್ಞಾನೋತ್ಪತ್ತಿಯಾದ ನಂತರ ಒಬ್ಬ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವೇ ಆಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ನಾನು ಪರಬ್ರಹ್ಮವೇ ಆಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ನಾನು ಆತ್ಮಸ್ವರೂಪನೇ ಆಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಅನ್ನುವ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ತಾನೇ ತಾನಾಗಿ ಯಾವುದನ್ನೂ ಅಪೇಕ್ಷಿಸದೆ ಉಂಟಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಅನುಭವ ಸಿದ್ಧದಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ. ಈ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಶ್ಲೋಕ, ದೇವದತ್ತೋ ಅಹಂ ಇತಿ ಏತದ್ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಂ ನಿರಪೇಕ್ಷಕಂ. Acharya is giving an example, a famous example, Vedantic example, which he has given elsewhere also, earlier also in the Viveka Chudamani, earlier also. So a person who is named as Devadatta, now the Acharya says, Devadatta aham iti etad vijnanam nirapekshakam. So for a person who is called as Devadatta, the knowledge that I am Devadatta does not depend on any other proof. It is already Swayam Siddha. It is already there. He need not prove to anyone all the time that I am Devadatta. See, this is a beautiful example, most pertinent example Acharya is taking. To make it very simple, if I am called as Nagaraj, please remember, please understand, please listen. It applies to every one of us. Every one of us. If I am known as Nagaraj, when I know that I am Nagaraj, that is the name to this status, to this body, this individuality, to the personality given, I know it. So I need not profess, I need not tell every time, every minute, 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, 365 days in a year, to each and everyone, every time, look, I am Nagaraj, I am Nagaraj, I am Nagaraj. It applies to all of us. We don't profess. Our names means our individuality, status. See, the name denotes your status, your individuality. The body-mind complex, Sharirabhimana. So you don't profess every time to each and every one, morning to evening, to each and every one, we don't say, we don't profess. We don't publicly say, I am so and I am so and. It is understood. It's a born instinct. The name has been given long back, even before we remember, when we were so young, when we were born by the parents. So it is there ever since, existing as an instinctive feeling. I know that I am Nagaraj, that's all. That's all. Like that, Acharya is giving example. So for a person named Devadatta, I am Devadatta. This feeling does not depend on any other external proof. Aham Devadatta iti etad vijnanam nirapekshakam. He need not profess, he need not shout every time, I am Devadatta. Tadvat brahmavido api asya brahmaham iti vedanam. In the same way, for a brahmavid, for a brahmajnani, the knower of Brahma, brahmavid, the knower of truth, the knower of absolute truth, the realized master, cognition that I am Brahman, for such a brahmajnani, does not require any expression. He doesn't profess. A jnani will never say that I am a brahmajnani, I am a brahmavida. So that is the point. He knows that he is Brahman by first hand, by direct experience. He knows that he is Brahman. Now, this is in a very, very simple shloka with a profound meaning. What Acharya is told here. See, for example, just to elaborate this point, even while making a negative statement of the awareness of the Atman by a jnani, are you a Brahmajnani? And the question is put to a realized master. The answer is, I don't know. So even in the negative statement, I don't know, the self, the Atman is always present, ever existing. So next question. How do you know that you don't know? How do you know that you don't know? The answer for that question would be, I just know it. I just know it. I don't know. That is the answer. I know it. How do you know it? I know it. So this I, which knows and also knows that it does not know. Please follow this. So this I in the statement, which knows and also knows that it does not know, because of this I, that one is able to say that I don't know. That is the explanation given. So the knowledge that I am Devadatta is independent of any conditions whatsoever. Similarly, the knower of Brahman realizes by first-hand experience that he is Brahman. He need not and he will not normally profess to anyone or to the world that he is Brahmajnani. He is an Atmajnani. So that is a very pertinent point here. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಮಹಾತ್ಮರು, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು, ಆತ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು, ಸಮದರ್ಶಿಗಳು ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ಈ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ ಲೌಕಿಕ ಜನಗಳ ಎದುರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಸಹ ಎಂದೂ ನಾನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ನಾನು ಆತ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಕೇನೋಪನಿಷತ್ನಲ್ಲಿ 2ನೇ ಖಂಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಒಂದು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಒಂದು ಮಂತ್ರ ಇದೆ. ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಸರಳವಾದ ಉಪನಿಷತ್ ವಚನ ಕೇನೋಪನಿಷತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ದೀರ್ಘವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಕೇನೋಪನಿಷತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಮಂತ್ರ, ಒಂದು ವಚನ, ಯಸ್ಯಾಮತಂ ತಸ್ಯ ಮತಂ ಮತಂ ಯಸ್ಯ ನ ವೇದ ಸಹ. ಯಸ್ಯಾ ಮತಂ ತಸ್ಯ ಮತಂ ಮತಂ ಯಸ್ಯ ನ ವೇದಸಃ ಅವಿಜ್ಞಾತಂ ವಿಜಾನತಾಂ ವಿಜ್ಞಾತಂ ಅವಿಜಾನತಾಂ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಮಂತ್ರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇನೋಪನಿಷತ್. ಇದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಅರಿತಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವನ್ನ ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಅನ್ನುವ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲವೋ ಆತನಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿದೆ. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವನ್ನು ಅರಿತಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಎಂಬ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಸ್ಯ ಅಮತಂ ತಸ್ಯ ಮತಂ, ಯಸ್ಯಾ ಮತಂ ತಸ್ಯ ಮತಂ ಮತಂ ಯಸ್ಯ ನ ವೇದಸ. ಅವಿಜ್ಞಾತಂ ವಿಜಾನತಾಂ ವಿಜ್ಞಾತಂ ಅವಿಜಾನತಾಂ. ಇದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು? ತಿಳಿದವನಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿಯದೇ ಇರುತ್ತದೆ, ತಿಳಿಯದವರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ತಿಳಿದವನಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿಯದೇ ಇರುತ್ತದೆ, ತಿಳಿಯದವರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿಯುತ್ತದೆ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಗೂಢಾರ್ಥದಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪನಿಷತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮಹಾನ್ ವಚನ ಇದು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಸ್ಥೂಲವಾಗಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಬಹಳ ಸಂಕ್ಷಿಪ್ತವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳಿಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾನುಭವ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ, ಆತ್ಮಾನುಭವ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವ ವಸ್ತು ಎದುರುಗಡೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಕೇವಲ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಆತ್ಮ ಏಕತ್ವ ಭಾವದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾತ್ಮ ಭಾವದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮಿಥ್ಯಾ ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ಎದುರು, ಅಸತ್ ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ಎದುರು, ಅಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳ ಎದುರು ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಯ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ವವೂ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಮಯವಾಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ, ಇರುವುದು ಒಂದೇ ವಸ್ತು ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಹಂಕಾರ ನಾಶ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ, ಮನೋನಾಶ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ, ನಾನು ಈ ಹೊರಗಿನ ಶರೀರಾಭಿಮಾನ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಮಹಾಮೌನ, ಮಹಾಮೌನವೇ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ. ಅದು ಸಹಜ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಹಾಮೌನ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಅರ್ಥ. ಇದನ್ನ ಕೇನೋಪನಿಷತ್ ಬಹಳ ಗೂಢವಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ವಚನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಸ್ಯ ಅಮತಂ ತಸ್ಯ ಮತಂ. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿದೆಯೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಜ್ಞಾನವಿಲ್ಲವೋ ಅವರು ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪುಂಖಾನುಪುಂಖವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಅರ್ಥ. ತಿಳಿದವರು ಮಾತನಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನೇರ ಅನುಭವ ಇದ್ದವರು ಏನು ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸ್ವಂತ ತಮ್ಮ ಅನುಭವ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ಅದು ಹೇಳೋ ಬದಲು ತಾನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಅನ್ನುವ ಈ ಶರೀರಾಭಿಮಾನದಿಂದ ಹೇಳುವಂತ ಮಾತು ಯಾವ ಜ್ಞಾನಿಯೂ ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. So here what I was telling in Kannada language was the famous vachana mantra of Kenopanishad. ಯಸ್ಯಾಮತಂ ತಸ್ಯ ಮತಂ ಮತಂ ಯಸ್ಯ ನ ವೇದಸಃ ಅವಿಜ್ಞಾತಂ ವಿಜಾನತಾಂ ವಿಜ್ಞಾತಂ ಅವಿಜಾನತಾಂ. For a jnani who has perceived directly by first-hand experience, he has perceived the absolute truth and Brahma Atma Ekatva Bhava he has understood. The self is Parabrahma Vastu only. The self is Paramatma Vastu only. And I am that self only. I am not the body-mind complex. When this is perceived directly, when this is experienced directly by first hand for a jnani at the dawn of jnana, He knows that he is the Atma Chaitanya. He is that supreme consciousness. He is that Parabrahma Chaitanya himself. And he knows that there is no difference between the Pratyagatma, the self inside, and Paramatma or Parabrahma Vastu outside, which is pervading everywhere. So there is no difference between the Atma and Paramatma, and he is that Sachidananda Swarupa, and he knows by himself, by direct experience. So for a Brahmajnani, this is not a matter of discussion to profess to others that I am a Jnani. For a Jnani, this is not at all a matter to discuss with others about his status. He never professes, he never says to anyone, look, I am a Brahmajnani or I am a self-realized soul. He will never say. He will never tell to the others. Since there are no others in the highest analysis of the absolute truth, in the Advaita Siddhi, there is only one Paramatma Vastu. Where is the second one? If the second one is there, then you can tell your experience. Everything is yourself. The whole world is your own Atma. You see yourself everywhere. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. In that state, how does a Brahmajnani can profess when there is nobody to listen? In the sense, when there is nobody existing other than himself, how can he proclaim, how can he say that I am a Brahmajnani? So he never professes about it. Whereas an intellectual scholar who thinks, intellectually understands that I am a Jnani, in the sense, I am Atma Swarupa, I am not the body anymore, I am not this mind anymore, I am not the Buddhi, I am not the Ahankar, I am not the ego, I am not the Chitta, I am not this internal component, Antakarana at all. So I am neither the subtle body, I am neither the gross body, I am Parama Chaitanya Atma Swarupa. So he has understood by his intellect, by his buddhi, by his analytical power, by his logical conclusion. So for such a person of pure intellectual understanding that I am a Jnani. Yes, I am a Jnani because I am Atma Swarupa. So such a person goes on professing to others that I am a Jnana, I am realized. This is called Jnana. I know what it is. I am that only. So he goes on professing about it. So avijñātam vijānatam, vijñātam avijānatam, vijānatam avijñātam. So the knower of the truth remains silent. He forgets. He will not say that I am so and so. Vijanatam avijñātam. So the knower of truth doesn't know. Means he doesn't say. Avijanatam vijñātam. So the person who really does not know, he says that I know it. So this is the beautiful paradoxical shloka in Kenopanishad. Avijanatam vijñātam. So a person who is not a real jnani all the time speaks about jnana and he always says that I am the Brahmajnani. So that Dvaita Bhava is still there, duality mode is still there. So these are the points. Now it is a very long point to explain about all these things. I just remember this. So finally, just remember it. Those who know, they remain silent. Those who don't know the reality always speak about it very, very vehemently. That is the point. Those who know the absolute truth, they always remain silent. They never speak about it. There is no necessity at all देवदत्तो अहमिति एतद् विज्ञानं निरपेक्षकं तद्वत् ब्रह्मविदो अपि अस्य ब्रह्माहम् इति वेदनं निरपेक्षकम् तद्वत् in the same way ब्रह्मविदः अपि अस्य ब्रह्माहम् इति वेदनं निरपेक्षकम्. So for a brahmavida, for a jnani, for an atmajnani, to say that I am a brahmavida is not required, not at all required. Nirapekshakam. That is the point in this sloka. Ultimate. Acharya continues. Now he gives an example next. Bhanuneva jagat sarvam bhasate yasya tejasa anatmakam asat tucham kimnu tasyava bhasakam. Bhanuneva jagat sarvam bhasate yasya tejasa anatmakam asat tucham kimnu tasyava bhasakam. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಕೆ. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ದೂರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಸೂರ್ಯನಿಂದ ಪ್ರಪಂಚವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಬೆಳಗಲ್ಪಡುತ್ತದೆಯೋ, ಸೂರ್ಯನ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ ಇಡೀ ಜಗತ್ತನ್ನೇ ಆವರಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಇಡೀ ಜಗತ್ತನ್ನೇ ಬೆಳಗು ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಯಾವ ಪ್ರಕಾಶದಿಂದ ಈ ಮಿಥ್ಯಾರೂಪವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಅಸತ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಅನಾತ್ಮ ವಸ್ತು ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಈ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ಬೆಳಗಲ್ಪಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯೋ, ಅಂಥವನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾಶಗೊಳಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ? ಯಾವುದರಿಂದ ಸರ್ವ ಬೆಳಗಲ್ಪಡುತ್ತದೆಯೋ ಅಂಥವನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾಶಗೊಳಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ಯಾವ ವಸ್ತು ಇದ್ದೆ ವಸ್ತುವಿನಿಂದ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೂರ್ಯನ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ. ಭಾನುನ ಇವ ಜಗತ್ ಸರ್ವಂ ಭಾಸತೆ ಯಸ್ಯ ತೇಜಸ ಅನಾತ್ಮಕಂ ಅಸತ್ಪುಚ್ಛಂ ಕಿಂ ತಸ್ಯಾವ ಭಾಸಕಂ. In this example, bhanuna iva jagat sarvam bhasate. So he takes an example that the entire world is illuminated by the sun ray, the radiating sun rays. The sunlight illuminates the whole world. Yasya tejasa anatmaka asat tucham kimun dasyava bhas. In the same way, who can illuminate that original illuminator, that original radiator which shines on all anatma vastu, unreal vastu, that is prapancha, that is world, living and non-living included. Anatma vastu, living and non-living included. So who can illuminate that illuminator which shines on all anatma vastu, worldly beings, living and non-living, which are unreal, asat, and insignificant, just like the sun. That is the example, Acharya. The whole world is illuminated by sun. With that example, now Acharya says, just like that, this entire anatma vastu, this unreal mithya jagat, mithya prapancha, this unreal, insignificant, that which is born, which will die one day, subject to destruction. So this unreal, which is totally illuminated by that great illuminator, who can illuminate him? Because of Atma, because of the Paramatma Vastu, everything is shining. Chaitanya is there. Chaitanya is flowing. And who can illuminate that Parama Chaitanya, which is the root cause? Nobody can. There is a point here. And he takes another example here. Veda Shastra Puranani Bhutani Sakalanyapi येनार्थवन्ति तं किन्नु विज्ञातारं प्रकाशयेत् वेदशास्त्रपुराणानि भूतानि सकलान्यपि येनार्थवन्ति तं किन्नु विज्ञातारं प्रकाशयेत्. ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು. ಸಕಲ ವೇದ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಪುರಾಣಗಳು, ಸಮಸ್ತ ಭೂತಗಳು, ಜೀವಿಗಳು, ಭೂತಗಳು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜೀವಿಗಳು ಯಾವುದರಿಂದ ಅರ್ಥವತ್ತವಾಗುತ್ತವೆಯೋ ಅಂತಹ ಆ ವಿಜ್ಞಾತೃವನ್ನು ಯಾವುದು ತಾನೇ ಪ್ರಕಾಶಪಡಿಸಿತು. ಹಿಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕದ ಹಾಗೆ ಈ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೇ ಅರ್ಥ, ಅದೇ ಭಾವ. ವೇದಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಪುರಾಣಾನಿ ಭೂತಾನಿ ಸಕಲಾನ್ಯಪಿ ಸಕಲ ಅನ್ಯಪಿ ಏನ ಅರ್ಥವಂತೆ ತಂ ಕಿನ್ನು ವಿಜ್ಞಾತಾರಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶಯೇ. What can radiate that greatest of the great, Parama Chaitanya, supreme consciousness, supreme awareness called Parabrahma Vastu, that invisible Nirakara, Paramless, Parabrahma Vastu, Paramatma Vastu, Parama Chaitanya, that supreme Brahma Chaitanya, by which, because of which all the Vedas, the Shrutis, Upanishads, Puranas, and all the organisms become significant and knowledge giving. So, what can radiate such a superior, most supreme consciousness that itself radiates everything? Because of that supreme consciousness, Parama Chaitanya, Brahma Chaitanya, Parabrahma Vastu, everything is illuminated. The Shastras, Puranas, Vedas, they become significant and knowledge giving. Arthavanti. Yena Arthavanti, by which they become illuminated. And who can radiate or illuminate once again? That Paramavastu. That is the ultimate. There is nothing beyond that. So here, Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal takes the example now for the shloka, the famous dialogues between Yajnavalkya and the Maitreyi in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There is a huge chapter about the Brahmajnana, when the Maitreyi starts asking about Atmajnana or Brahmajnana, about salvation, about emancipation, about moksha, about realization. Sage Yajnavalkya goes on answering step by step. And at one point, Sri Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal has taken this example, this particular point in his Bhashyam. The sage Yajnavalkya tells Maitreyi, look Maitreyi, Yenedam sarvam vijanati tam kena vijaniyat. Yenedam sarvam vijanati tam kena vijaniyat. ಯಾವುದರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾನೋ ಅಂತಹ ಆ ವಸ್ತುವನ್ನ ಯಾವುದರಿಂದ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ? That sage tells Maitreyi, that Vijñatru, by which everything is known. Everything is known because of that Vijñatru, that Parama Chaitanya. And to know that, how is it possible? There is nothing else. That Vijñatru itself is responsible for all the knowledge. You can understand everything because of that Parama Chaitanya. But how can you understand that Parama Chaitanya itself? That is beyond this knowledge of understanding. It is beyond the knowledge of understanding intellectual. It has to be experienced direct. That is the point. It has to be experienced directly. It is not a subject matter of a knowledge which you can obtain by studying a book, reading a book. No. That is the point here. Then Acharya continues. Yesha Swayam Jyoti Ananta Shakti Atma Prameya Sakalanubhuti Yameva Vijnaya Vimukta Bandho Jayatyayam Brahma Vidvuttamottamaha. Yesha Swayam Jyoti Ananta Shakti Atma Aprameya Sakalanubhuti Yameva Vijnaya Vimukta Bandho Jayati Ayam Brahma Viduttamaha. ಈ ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಈ ಆತ್ಮ ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ಶಿಷ್ಯ, ಈ ಆತ್ಮವಸ್ತು, ಈ ಪ್ರತ್ಯೇಗಾತ್ಮ ಇದ್ದಾನಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಆತ್ಮ ಸ್ವಯಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ, ಅನಂತ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಉಳ್ಳವನಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಸ್ವಯಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶನಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಅಪ್ರಮೇಯನಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರ ಅನುಭವದಲ್ಲಿ ಗೋಚರನಾಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವನು, ಎಲ್ಲರೊಳಗೂ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಅದು ಅವನನ್ನೇ ಅರ್ಥಕೊಂಡು ಸಂಸಾರ ಬಂಧನದಿಂದ ಈ ಆತ್ಮನನ್ನು ಅರ್ಥಿಕೊಂಡು ಸ್ವಯಂ ಅನುಭವದಿಂದ, ನೇರವಾದ ಅನುಭವದಿಂದ ಆತನನ್ನು ಅರ್ಥಿಕೊಂಡು ಅನುಭವಿಸಿ ಸಂಸಾರ ಬಂಧನದಿಂದ ಮುಕ್ತರಾದಂತಹ ಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವೇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ಕೃಷ್ಟರಾಗಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಒಂದು ಉಪಮಾನ. ಯಂ ಏವ ವಿಜ್ಞಾಯ ವಿಮುಕ್ತ ಬಂಧ ಜಯತಿ ಅಯಂ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ವಿದುತ್ತಮೋತ್ತಮ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಒಂದು ಸುಂದರ ಉಪಮಾನ. ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವಿದರಲ್ಲೇ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠರಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಅರ್ಥದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಹಾತ್ಮರು, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು, ಆತ್ಮವಿದರು, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವಿದರು ಉತ್ಕೃಷ್ಟರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಸರ್ವೋತ್ತಮರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಂಸಾರ ಬಂಧನದಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಂದು ಈ ಆತ್ಮನನ್ನು ಅನುಭವಿಸಿ ಈ ಆತ್ಮನನ್ನು ಅರ್ಥಿಕೊಂಡು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನದಿಂದ ಸಂತೃಪ್ತರಾಗಿ ಆತ್ಮವಂತರಾಗಿ ಆತ್ಮನಿಷ್ಠರಾಗಿ ಸದಾಕಾಲ ಆತ್ಮಾನುಭವದಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾನಂದ ಅನುಭವದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಳುಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಆತ್ಮ ಸ್ವಯಂ ಜ್ಯೋತಿ, ಅನಂತ ಶಕ್ತಿ, ಅಪ್ರಮೇಯ, ಸಕಲಾನುಭೂತಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ. So in this shloka, Acharya is highlighting, he is eulogizing that self, that Pratyagatma, nothing but Parabrahma Vastu. That Atma inside, the self inside is nothing but Parabrahma. Nothing but that Nirakara, Nirvishesha, Nishkalanka, Nishkriya, Parabrahma Vastu, Paramatma Vastu. He is highlighting these points here in this shloka. So Acharya says, Yesha means this Atma. So this Atma or the self is self-radiating, effulgent, infinite, very beyond your imagination, beyond the intellect. Yesha Swayam Jyoti Ananta Shakti ಅಪ್ರಮೇಯ ಸಕಲಾನುಭೂತಿ ಯಂ ಏವ ವಿಜ್ಞಾಯ ವಿಮುಕ್ತ ಬಂಧಃ ಜಯತಿ ಅಯಂ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ವಿದುತ್ತಮೋತ್ತಮಃ. So by realizing this Atma, by the direct perception, that is what we call at the dawn of the jnana. Please remember, all the time we have to remember, Atma Jnana is not something fresh, something new you are acquiring from outside. We are in the real sense, Vedanta says, we are all Atma Swarupa. Our real nature is, we are all Atma Swarupa only. by delusion, by pramada, what has happened? By superimposing this onto the body, physical body, we have forgotten our real nature. We think that we are the body. So we have identified, we have equated the Atma into the body itself, body-mind complex. So that is a problem because of delusion. This is the primordial ignorance due to avidya because of the effect of Maya. So we have forgotten our real identity. It's only realization means not something new. Jnana means not something new from outside you are acquiring during meditation or during spiritual practice. We are recollecting, we are reconnecting, we are knowing exactly what we are, which we had forgotten in all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of previous births. All the time because of delusion, because of avidya or maya, we thought that we are the body. That body-mind ego complex all the time affecting that we are the body-mind complex only. We had forgotten the reality. What is reality? The reality is, I am that Nitya Buddha Shuddha Atma Swarupa, Parama Chaitanya. That supreme awareness, supreme consciousness. We have forgotten. Because we have forgotten and we are identifying with the body, this suffering is there all the time in the life, from birth to death. Because of wrong identification, the suffering is there in the life from birth to death. Because of me and mine, these two factors always affect our personality. Ahankara and mamakara, me and mine. Me and mine. Ahankara, me, myself, and mine, my own people, my own things. So that delusion is there. So by realizing that I am the Atma Swarupa, a jnani, by direct perception, always happily he will be ever free from the bondage of samsara. Yam eva vijnaya vimukta bandha jayati ayam brahma viduttamottama. So such a great perceptor, such a brahmajnani, he becomes a real jivan mukta while still living in the body itself. That's what Acharya is telling you. Then Acharya continues extolling about the jnani, about jivan mukta, about the liberated soul, about the sage, about an atmajnani. You know how he lives in the world, how he moves in the world. The next sloka, 4 line, 4 charanas are there. Na kidyate no vishayai pramodate, na sajyate napi virajyate cha, swasmin sada kridati nandati swayam, nirantarananda rasena truptaha. Acharya is telling about a Brahmajnana, telling about a realized soul, a noble, exalted, realized master. Such a person, Acharya says, na khidyate no vishayai pramodate, na sajyate napi virajyate cha, swasmin sada kridati nandati swayam, nirantarananda rasena truptaha. Nirantara ananda rasena truptaha swasmin swayam kridati. Keywords. ಜ್ಞಾನಿ ಹೇಗಿರ್ತಾನೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಶಿಷ್ಯನಿಗೆ, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ, ಅಂತಹ ಸಾಕ್ಷಾತ್ಕಾರವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆತ್ಮನನ್ನ ನೇರವಾಗಿ ಅನುಭವಿಸಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಪರಮಜ್ಞಾನಿ ಆತ ದುಃಖ ಪಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ವಿಷಯ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಸಿಗಲಿಲ್ಲ, ವಿಷಯ ವಸ್ತುಗಳ ಅಭಾವದಿಂದ ದುಃಖ ಪಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ತನಗೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂತ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಎಂದೂ ದುಃಖ ಪಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ತನಗೆ ಹಣ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಐಶ್ವರ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅಂತಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಆಸ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಎಂದೂ ಶೋಕ ಪಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಬಂದಂತಹ ವಿಷಯಗಳಿಂದ, ವಿಷಯ ಸುಖೋಪಭೋಗಗಳಿಂದ ಸಂತೋಷವನ್ನೂ ಪಡೋದು. ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಸುಖ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಭೋಗ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು, ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಆತನ ಬಳಿಗೆ ಬಂದರೂ, ಇತರರ ಮೂಲಕ ಆತನಿಗೆ ಸಂದಾಯ ಆದರೂ, ಇತರರು ತಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟರು, ಅದರಿಂದ ಆತ ಸಂತೋಷ ಪಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಬಂದು ಸೇರ್ತು ಅಂತ ಸಂತೋಷ ಪಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ವಿಷಯ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ದುಃಖ ಪಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಂತಹ ಸುಖ ಸಾಧನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸಕ್ತನೂ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಆತ ವಿರಕ್ತನೂ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ವಿಷಯ ಸುಖ ವಸ್ತುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ಆತನಿಗೆ ಆಸಕ್ತಿಯೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಿರಾಸಕ್ತಿಯೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿತ್ಯ ಆ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾನಂದ ರಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಳುಗಿ ಸದಾ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾನಂದ ರಸದಲ್ಲೇ ತೃಪ್ತನಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವನಿಗೆ ಆತ ಸದಾ ತನ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ತಾನು ರಮಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ಸುಖ ಭೋಗ ಸಾಧನಗಳಿಂದ ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ಹೊಂದೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಥವಾ ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ದುಃಖವಿಲ್ಲ ಮತ್ತು ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಸಂತೋಷವಿಲ್ಲ. ಸಮಚಿತ್ತನಾಗಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ಬಂದ ವಿಷಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಚೈತನ್ಯನಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವೀಕಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ. ಬಂದದ್ದು ಬಂದ ಹಾಗೆ ಸ್ವೀಕಾರ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದ ಶ್ಲೋಕ ಅವ ಜ್ಞಾನಿ ಬಿಹೇವ್ಸ್, ಆಚಾರ್ಯ says, ನ ಖಿದ್ಯತೆ ನೋ ವಿಷಯೈ ಪ್ರಮೋದತೆ ನ ಸಜ್ಜತೆ ನಾಪಿ ವಿರಜ್ಯತೆ. ಬೋತ್ ಆಪೋಸಿಟ್ಸ್. ನ ಖಿದ್ಯತೆ ವಿಷಯೈ ನ ಪ್ರಮೋದತೆ ನ ಸಜ್ಜತೆ ನ ವಿರಜ್ಯತೆ. Opposites. So how a Brahmajnani, a realized master, lives and behaves in the world? He does not feel sad or he never grieves when he doesn't get any objects of any particular choice. When he doesn't possess anything of the worldly objects, he doesn't grieve. He doesn't worry at all. Na khidyate vishayaihi. He is not worried. He is not bothered of not having all the materials required for a happy, smooth, beautiful, enchanting life as all we desire. He is not bothered whether he has money or not. He is not clamored to possess. He is not interested. So when things are not happening in the normal standards, while compared to normal human being, he is not at all bothered at all. Na khidyate vishayaihi, na pramodate. Similarly, when things are there, when the objects are there, he is not even elated. He doesn't, revel in that. First of all, when money is not there, he is not bothered. When money pours in, he is not bothered. When people start giving him money, they start pouring because they start clamoring to take his ashirvad, his grace. The devotees, disciples, common people, knowing that there is a Brahmajnani, always they go around. They try to please him by all types of services, by seva. So people will start showering the money. They start bringing the things required for life. So when things start, accumulating by people, the jnani is not bothered. Jnani is not elated when things happen. Even when things don't happen, when the money is not there, when nobody is there, when there is no food available, what to do tomorrow we think. Jnani, even there he is not bothered. So he neither grieves nor he gets elated. Na khidyate, na pramodate, na sajjate, na virajyate. So, na sajjate, na virajyate means what? Neither is attached to the objects of Vishaya Sukha, nor is, detached. He expects nothing, rejects nothing. He just remains as a pure witness. See, na sajjate, na virajyate. Very difficult to understand how a jnani behaves. Whatever comes, he is not bothered. but he is not associated. He is not attached. When the things go away, he is not bothered. So he remains whether things come or not. He is not associating himself. So neither is attached nor he is detached means what? He remains neutral. He just observes. According to the prarabdha of this physical body, which has taken birth, Jnani knows that it has its, till the prarabdha is there, the body will survive, and this body observes everything. So he is not the body anymore. So what is happening to the body? He is an observer. When somebody pampers his body, he is an observer. When somebody doesn't pamper him, he is an observer. Always remains neutral. Why? Because the next two Charana Acharya says, Swasmin sada kridati nandati swayam nirantaranandarasena truptaha. Because all the time, always, internally, mentally, he delights in his own self, Brahmananda, in his own bliss, and he remains as Atmara. He delights himself in his own self. Swasmin sada kridati nandati swayam nirantara anandarasena truptaha. So he remains all the time satisfied with this anandarasa. So he is drinking the bliss called Brahmana, the nectar called Brahmana. So the worldly objects no more will delude him. No more is attracted. They come and go. People throng. People will bring so many objects, required for life, including money. They try to pamper. He is no way concerned internally. That is how a jnani. So neither he accepts nor he rejects. Neither is attached nor he is detached. He takes whatever comes in his way as his body prarabdha. The prarabdha of the body is there and he knows. So the body is undergoing all these fascinating changes and turns in life, and no way he is associated. No way he is associated. Please remember, he remains neutral. He knows things are coming and things are going. Please remember, this is a very important point here to remember. Our Gurudev was very fond of all the time, offhand he used to tell about the small phrases of Bhagavad Gita. While suddenly, he was very fond of one particular shloka in Bhagavad Gita that pertains to this exactly. Yadruchalava santushtaha dvandvatito vimatsaraha samaha siddhava siddhaucha tutvanapi na nibbhadyate. Yadruchalava santushtaha dvandvatito vimatsaraha samaha siddhava siddhaucha trutvapi na nibbhadyate. Yadruchalava santushtaha. Always my Gurudev was fond of this phrase used by Lord Arjuna, who tells Lord Krishna Paramatma, who tells Arjuna about the nature of a jnani. There he speaks in that fourth chapter, Jnana Yoga. Look, Arjuna, how a jnani remains, how a sthita prajna behaves. Krishna Paramatma is telling how a sthita prajna, a samadarshi, behaves in life. Yadruchalava santushtaha. So he is happy in the sense he just observes whatever comes in his life. Yadruchalava santushtaha. He is happy whether good things are there, bad things are there. Whether favorable conditions are there, unfavorable conditions are there. When good happens or bad happens. No way. He is always santushtaha. Yadruchalava. Whatever comes to the body, whatever the body experiences, he is always happy. He is not concerned. So that is the meaning Yadruchalava santushtaha. He accepts everything, rejects nothing, because the body has to face, body has to undergo. all these, karmas, the effect of the karmas. The body is reaping, that's all. So neither he accepts nor he rejects. And he remains Dvandva Atita, Vimatsaraha, Samaha Siddhava Siddhaucha. When things happen according to the will and wish, people normally feel happy. When things don't happen according to their will and wish, people get dejected. They become moody. They start grieving in their mind. So, Samaha Siddhava Siddhaucha. A Jnani remains Samaha all the time. He remains neutral all the time. His mind is totally at equilibrium. Whether things happen or not, he is not bothered. Our Gurudev was very fond of the shloka. I remember here, how a Jnani lives and behaves in the world. So, Yadruchalava Santushta, all the time of my Gurudev used to tell me, and I somehow, these points, by the grace of our Gurudev, is there. We should be happy with what we are. First of all, we should be happy with what we are and what we have acquired, what has come to us natural. This is nothing to do with self. This is something to do with your body-mind complex called ego. So the body-mind complex receives good results and bad results, but nothing to do with the self. The self is always supreme. It always remains as pure witness. Nothing affects the self. Self is always at equilibrium. Self is always in its own Ananda Swarupa Sthiti, Brahmananda Sthiti. The self is always Sachidananda Swarupa. So nothing affects the self, nothing affects the Atma, nothing affects the Pratikatma inside. Everything happens to the outer, this body-mind complex. Our Gurudev used to tell me all these things in that one word, Yadruchalava Santushtaha. So people, he used to say, people should first learn this, to be happy with what they have received. So with this Guru Sankalpa, shloka number 535, we are stopping today. 535. Sri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama. 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 Hari Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Virajeshwara.
धन्यवाद सर. हरि ओम.
Hari Om. Hari Om.